The red dust swirled around Jay Park's heavy boots as he walked across the barren mining complex. Another routine day of equipment maintenance stretched before him, or so he thought. The planetary survey station hummed with its usual mechanical rhythm, metal containers, and rusted machinery, creating a landscape that felt more like an abandoned industrial wasteland than a cutting-edge research facility. Jay's hands, calloused from years of mechanical work, moved with practiced precision across the diagnostic panels. Something felt different today. Most engineers would have ignored the subtle vibration, the almost imperceptible tremor that danced across his monitoring equipment. But Jay was not most engineers. He adjusted his protective gear, the thick fabric protecting him from the planet's harsh environment. The temperature outside hovered around 45 degrees Celsius, a typical day on this remote mining world. Sweat formed, small droplets on his forehead trickling down his sun-weathered face. The scanner in his hand began to pulse. At first it was a soft, almost musical rhythm. Then it became more insistent. Jay frowned. This was not normal. The device was detecting something beneath the rocky terrain, something that didn't match any geological profile in the station's extensive database. Most workers would have logged the anomaly and moved on, but Jay had a reputation for curiosity. His colleagues often joked that he was more machine than human, with an intuition that went beyond standard protocols. Where others saw random data, he saw patterns. Where others saw obstacles, he saw opportunities. He knelt down, pressing his hand against the rocky ground. The vibrations were stronger now, a steady pulse that seemed to beat in sync with some hidden mechanism. The ground wasn't just rock. It was concealing something. Jay called over his research assistant, Hana Kim, a young woman with sharp eyes and an equally sharp mind. "Look at these readings," he said, pointing to the scanner. The device showed complex electromagnetic signatures that defied standard geological explanations. "This isn't natural," Hana muttered, her fingers quickly running through the data. "These patterns, they're too consistent, too precise." The mining station around them continued its routine operations. Massive drilling machines moved earth. Workers in protective suits carried equipment, and nobody noticed the small patch of ground where Jay was now carefully removing layers of rock and soil. Hour after hour passed. Jay's initial careful excavation turned into a focused investigation. He used specialized tools, each movement calculated and precise. The rock gave way slowly, revealing something unexpected, a surface that was too smooth, too perfect to be natural. Metallic glints caught the harsh sunlight. What had seemed like ordinary ground was actually concealing something extraordinary, a surface that was not rock, but something engineered, something alien. "We need to document everything," Jay said, his voice calm but filled with an underlying excitement. He knew they were on the verge of something significant, the kind of discovery that could change everything humans understood about their place in the universe. The station's director, Seong Choi, would need to be informed. But not yet, not until they understood more. Jay had learned long ago that premature excitement could destroy the most promising discoveries. As the day wore on, more of the hidden surface was revealed. It wasn't just a small area. This was the beginning of something much larger. A structure that extended far beyond what their initial scans had suggested. Something that had been waiting, hidden beneath the planet's surface, for who knows how long. Jay's hands moved methodically, brushing away dust, taking measurements, capturing every detail. Each movement was a dance of precision and careful observation. He was a mechanic, yes, but in this moment he was also an explorer standing at the edge of a discovery that could rewrite human understanding. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the mining complex. The vibrations from the ground continued, a steady pulse that seemed to whisper of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Jay looked at Hana, a small smile playing on his lips. "We're going to need more equipment," he said simply. The discovery had begun. The night descended quickly on the mining planet, darkness swallowing the landscape like a thick blanket. Jay and Hana worked under powerful portable lights, their breath creating small clouds in the cold desert air. The exposed metallic surface, they had discovered earlier gleamed with an unusual shimmer, unlike any material they had seen before. Specialized cutting tools struggled to make progress. Jay watched in frustration as diamond-tipped drill bits barely scratched the surface. Whatever this material was, it defied standard mining technology. Each attempt to penetrate the surface met with unexpected resistance. "This isn't normal," Hannah muttered, reviewing the initial scan data. The electromagnetic readings continued their strange rhythmic pulse. It was almost like the surface was breathing, alive in some mechanical way that human technology couldn't comprehend. As midnight approached, Jay noticed something peculiar. The surface wasn't just resistant, it was reactive. Where their tools touched, subtle color changes occurred. Soft blue lines began to trace intricate patterns, almost like circuit pathways coming to life. Suddenly, a section of the surface shifted, not violently, but with a precision that suggested intelligent design. A small opening appeared, no larger than a standard maintenance hatch. Jay's heart raced. This was no natural formation. Hannah grabbed her protective gear. "We shouldn't," she warned. But curiosity had always been stronger than caution. Jay's headlamp illuminated the narrow opening. The tunnel beyond was perfectly smooth, its walls displaying intricate geometric patterns that seemed to shimmer and change under different light angles. It was beautiful and terrifying simultaneously. The first 50 meters revealed nothing but perfectly engineered surfaces. No dust, no debris, nothing that suggested age or wear. It was as if the tunnel had been created yesterday, waiting for someone to discover it. Temperature readings inside the tunnel remained constant, exactly 22 degrees Celsius regardless of the harsh exterior environment. Sophisticated climate control or something more complex? Jay's mind raced with possibilities. Every few meters, strange symbols decorated the walls. They weren't random markings, but appeared to be some form of advanced communication system. Complex, structured, waiting to be understood. Specialized sensors on Jay's equipment began recording everything. Each movement, each subtle change in temperature, each microscopic detail of the tunnel's construction. Something extraordinary was happening, and they were its first witnesses. 2 hours into their exploration, the tunnel began to widen. What had started as a narrow passage now expanded into a massive underground corridor. Massive was an understatement. This was an entire infrastructure hidden beneath planetary rock. Massive support structures suggested something beyond a simple passage. These were load-bearing designs that could support enormous weights. Something big existed beyond this tunnel. Something significant. Hannah's voice broke the silence. "We need to mark our return path," she said, attaching tracking beacons at regular intervals. Standard exploration protocol, but something felt different here. These weren't ordinary circumstances. The tunnel seemed to respond to their presence. Soft blue lights began illuminating their path, triggered by their movement. Not harsh artificial lighting, but a gentle, almost organic illumination that adjusted to their pace. Jay noticed something else. Their communication devices, which should have lost signal underground, remained fully operational. Something was amplifying their technological signals, keeping them connected to the surface. Another hour passed. The tunnel continued, showing no signs of ending. Each step revealed more questions than answers. Who built this? Why was it here? What was its purpose? As they moved deeper, the temperature remained constant. Their equipment continued functioning perfectly. The tunnel seemed to be guiding them, revealing just enough to maintain their curiosity while keeping its ultimate secret hidden. Jay understood one thing clearly. They were no longer just researchers. They had become explorers of something far beyond their current understanding. This tunnel was an invitation. To what, they didn't yet know. The exploration continued, each step taking them deeper into a mystery that would change everything they knew about their place in the universe. The tunnel suddenly opened into a massive cavern, and Jay's breath caught in his throat. It wasn't just a space. It was a city. An entire metropolis hidden beneath planetary rock, untouched by time, perfect in every detail. Massive structures rose like crystalline sculptures, reaching impossible heights. Buildings that defied human engineering principles stood in perfect geometric alignment. No random construction here. Every inch was calculated, purposeful, intelligent. Soft blue and silver lights pulsed throughout the city, creating a living landscape that seemed to breathe. Transparent pathways connected different levels, showing complex transportation networks that looked more like liquid flowing than solid infrastructure. Jay's handheld scanner went crazy. Data streams flooded its memory, capturing details faster than human eyes could process. Technology here was generations beyond anything humans had even imagined. Energy systems that seemed to generate power from nothing. Communication networks that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Hana stood motionless, her scientific training momentarily overwhelmed by pure wonder. "This is impossible," she whispered, but the city around them suggested otherwise. Mechanical systems began activating as they moved, not aggressively but with a curious intelligence. Holographic displays materialized, showing complex diagrams and information in a language that was both mathematical and artistic. Symbols danced, transformed, communicated. The city's infrastructure responded to their presence. Pathways illuminated beneath their feet. Ambient temperature adjusted perfectly. It was like the entire metropolis was a living organism, studying its first visitors in thousands of years. Jay noticed something extraordinary. The technological systems weren't just advanced, they seemed adaptive. His simple movements triggered complex responses. When he touched a nearby wall, intricate information streams began displaying, showing what looked like historical records of the city's construction. No signs of damage existed anywhere. No rust, no decay. Everything looked pristine, as if time had simply stopped. Advanced materials protected every surface, creating structures that could potentially last millennia. Transportation tubes crisscrossed between buildings, suggesting a society that had solved movement challenges humans could only dream about. Silent, efficient, perfect. Energy readings showed something even more incredible. The entire city generated its own power through systems so advanced they appeared almost magical. No waste, no pollution. Pure, clean energy transformation happening at molecular levels. Hana's scientific mind began recovering from initial shock. She started documenting everything, her hands moving quickly across recording devices. "This changes everything we know about technological development," she muttered. Jay moved carefully, understanding they were witnessing something unprecedented. Each step revealed new wonders. Computational systems that could likely solve complex mathematical problems in milliseconds. Medical facilities with technology that suggested they could potentially reverse aging. Holographic interfaces began showing what seemed like city blueprints. Massive underground levels suggested this was just the beginning. How deep did this city extend? What secrets remained hidden? Communication systems started analyzing their presence, not threatening but curious. Like an intelligent system trying to understand these unexpected visitors. Scanning, processing, learning. The city's central core seemed to pulse with an intelligent rhythm. Not just mechanical systems, but something that felt almost alive. Adaptive. Responsive. Waiting. Jay realized they weren't just discovering a technological marvel. They were experiencing first contact with an entire civilization's technological legacy. A civilization that had achieved technological perfection, and then disappeared. Questions raced through his mind. Who built this? Why was it here? What happened to its original creators? The city seemed to offer hints but no complete answers. As hours passed, more systems came online. Transportation networks activated. Communication arrays began broadcasting signals into complex mathematical patterns. The city was waking up, responding to human presence after what could be thousands of years of silence. Hana looked at Jay, her eyes wide with understanding. "We're not just exploring," she said quietly. "We're being invited." The hidden city continued its silent welcome, waiting to reveal its next secret. The city's systems began interfacing with Jay's equipment in ways no one could have predicted. His standard mining research devices started transforming, circuits rearranging themselves like living organisms. Holographic displays erupted from his simple handheld scanner, showing complex mathematical equations and technical schematics that seemed to dance and breathe. Hana watched in shock as Jay's protective suit began changing. Tiny metallic particles moved across the fabric, restructuring its molecular composition. What had been standard protective gear was becoming something entirely different, a technological interface that responded to the city's ambient energy. "Don't move," Jay whispered, though he wasn't sure why he needed to be quiet. The city seemed to be communicating, not through sound, but through complex information streams that bypassed traditional communication methods. Computational systems around them began processing information at impossible speeds. Walls became transparent, revealing intricate machinery that moved like liquid metal. Every surface was becoming a potential communication channel, transmitting data through light, energy, and mathematical patterns. Jay felt something happening inside his mind. It wasn't painful, more like a gentle expansion of understanding. Complex technological concepts that would have taken years to learn were being directly uploaded into his cognitive processes. The city was teaching, not just showing. Strange symbols began appearing on nearby surfaces. They weren't random markings, but a complex language that seemed to exist between mathematics and art. Each symbol contained entire volumes of information, compressed into elegant geometric designs. His research equipment started recording everything, but not through traditional methods. The devices were now part of the city's network, becoming extensions of its own computational systems. Data flowed like water, changing and adapting with each passing moment. Hana noticed her own equipment responding similarly. Communication devices that should have been useless underground were now receiving and transmitting information across what seemed like impossible distances. The city was amplifying their technological capabilities. Temperature in the surrounding area remained constant, but energy levels fluctuated in strange patterns. It was as if the entire metropolis was breathing, studying its unexpected visitors. Not threatening, just incredibly curious. Jay's hands moved across surfaces, each touch triggering massive information downloads. Technical blueprints for energy, systems beyond human understanding. Medical technologies that could potentially reverse cellular aging. Transportation networks that defied current physical limitations. The city seemed to be making a choice. It wasn't random exploration anymore. This was a deliberate connection, an invitation to understand something far beyond current human technological comprehension. Holographic interfaces began showing what looked like historical records, glimpses of a civilization that had achieved technological perfection and then seemingly vanished. Complex images showed advanced beings, technological marvels, and entire planetary systems. Something was selecting Jay specifically. His mechanical background, his unique approach to problem-solving, his intuitive understanding of complex systems, all of these made him the perfect recipient of this unexpected connection. Computational systems began creating a direct neural interface, not invasively, but through sophisticated energy transmissions that expanded cognitive capabilities. Jay could suddenly understand complex technological concepts that would have taken decades to learn. Hana watched in a mixture of scientific fascination and pure wonder. Her colleague was becoming something more than just a human researcher. He was transforming into a bridge between two technological civilizations. The city's central systems continued their careful analysis. Each moment revealed more. Each interaction became a complex dance of technological communication. They weren't just exploring a hidden metropolis. They were experiencing first contact with an entirely different level of technological existence. Jay's mind expanded with impossible knowledge. Energy systems, medical technologies, computational methods that existed beyond current human understanding. The city was downloading its entire technological legacy into his consciousness. Something significant was happening. A connection that, would change everything humans understood about technology, exploration, and their place in the universe. The unexpected connection continued, revealing its next extraordinary secret. The transmission burst through global communication networks like a technological tsunami. Jay's carefully prepared data package contained information that would rewrite human understanding forever. Governments, scientific institutions, and military organizations around the world received the unexpected broadcast simultaneously. Director Seong Choi stared at the screens, his hands trembling. What had started as a routine planetary survey had become humanity's most significant moment of discovery. The alien city's technological blueprints were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Communication centers worldwide went into immediate lockdown. Military satellites tracked the transmission's origin, struggling to comprehend the complexity of the data stream. This wasn't just information. It was a complete technological revolution compressed into digital signals. Jay had carefully selected what to share. Not everything could be understood at once. He strategically revealed technologies that would solve immediate human challenges. Clean energy systems that could eliminate global pollution. Medical technologies that could cure previously impossible diseases. Transportation methods that could transform human mobility. The first global response was confusion, then disbelief, then pure excitement. Scientific communities around the world began analyzing the transmitted data, realizing they were witnessing something unprecedented. Major technology companies suddenly became obsolete. The blueprints Jay shared contained solutions that made current technological infrastructure look like primitive tools. Energy production methods that could power entire continents with minimal environmental impact. Communication technologies that made current internet systems look like children's toys. Medical research institutions discovered blueprints for treatments that could potentially reverse aging, cure genetic disorders, and restore human body functions at cellular levels. What had seemed like science fiction was now a potential reality. Military organizations initially approached the information with caution, but the technological advantages were too significant to ignore. Defense systems described in the transmission could protect entire planetary regions with minimal resource investment. Hana worked alongside Jay, helping manage the global response. They understood the delicate balance of sharing such advanced technology. Too much information too quickly could cause global panic. Too little would restrict humanity's potential growth. Global leaders began emergency meetings. Scientific conferences were called. Universities worldwide started analyzing the transmitted data. The alien city's knowledge was being dissected, understood, examined from every possible angle. Economic systems began shifting. Technologies shared in the transmission promised to solve energy crises, transportation challenges, and medical limitations. Traditional power structures would need to adapt quickly. Jay understood the responsibility. This wasn't just a technological discovery. This was humanity's invitation to a new stage of development. The alien city had chosen them, chosen him as the bridge between two technological civilizations. Satellite communications showed global excitement. News networks struggled to explain the complex technological breakthrough. Ordinary people began understanding that everything was about to change. Environmental scientists discovered clean energy solutions that could reverse decades of climate damage. Medical researchers found treatments for diseases considered untreatable. Transportation experts saw mobility technologies that could connect global regions in minutes. The alien city continued sending additional information. Not overwhelming, but carefully measured. Like a teacher sharing knowledge with a promising student. Each transmission revealed another layer of technological potential. Governments began collaborative efforts. Traditional political boundaries seemed meaningless compared to the technological revolution happening. Nations that were previously in conflict now worked together to understand the shared knowledge. Jay and Hana became global celebrities overnight, but they remained focused on the mission, understanding, translating, helping humanity take its next evolutionary step. The transmission continued, each moment revealing another extraordinary secret. Humanity stood at the edge of its greatest technological transformation.